Today's episode is brought to you by Wicked Escapes. Based in Boston, Wicked Escapes is renowned for producing some of the most immersive interactive adventure attractions in the world. Their Saugus, Mass location showcases the best puzzle and escape room adventures in New England and is located just 10 minutes north of Boston, conveniently on Route 1 in the Roll the World Plaza. Book today and find out what all the excitement's about. Enjoy their spacious location, experience the thrill of solving their mind-bending challenges, maybe even set a new Wicked Escapes time record. Sign up at wickedescapes.net. That's www.wickedescapes.net.
All right, well, my name is Michael Alden. This is the Alden Report. Folks, again, I always talk about how excited I am for my next guest, and I really am excited for my next guest. He's actually in the studio with me today. And for those of you who don't know my background, I grew up surrounded by crime, drugs, violence, and, it's really kind of a tough, upbringing. And I met my next guest at a high school where we were both speaking at, and we were speaking to at-risk kids. His name is Dominus Tavares, correct? Is that how we say it? Correct. Dominus Tavares. He's a youth counselor. He's a speaker. He's a motivational speaker. He's the co-founder of a company, of an organization called Elevate Minds. He has an amazing story. And again, he's out there doing what I love. He's helping our youth change the way they think. He's changing the way they see the world. And he's ultimately shaping our future. He's an amazing guy. He's got an amazing story. Please help me welcome Dominus Tavares. Dominus?
Thank you.
Thanks for being my guest, man.
Thank you for having me.
So, I was a little loud right there. So, Dominus, you and I met at East Boston High School, right?
Yes.
And it's kind of a funny story. I guess I'll get right into the story. So I get up and I speak, and I had no idea that Dominus was speaking after me, and I guess I kind of stole his thunder a little bit with one of the things that I said. But for me was I stayed after, and I watched you speak and the way you spoke and the way you communicated to these kids, and I just thought it was awesome, man. I really did.
Appreciate you. I felt the same.
Tell us a little bit about your story. Again, it's an interesting story. It's a story of kind of growing up kind of like in a troubled scenario, and then kind of turning things around, right?
Absolutely.
Tell us the story.
So I grew up single parent household, by my mom's. My dad was never there, but my mom's made sure to surround us with positive enrichment programs and constructive things to do, having a lack of a father in the household. So, my upbringing was pretty rough, moved around a lot. There was no stability, stayed with a lot of family. Mom's worked a lot of hours, so, we had a whole bunch of time to be out with catching the peer pressure.
Idle hands, right, or an idle mind?
Absolutely, idle mind. So ultimately, I grew up in a situation that wasn't so fortunate, a whole bunch of drug addicted family members,
right,
and crime-driven uncles that were doing time. So, I never wanted that for myself, but, I got caught up in the same lifestyle, just being culture and habit, and had to turn it around.
Right.
So, 18 years old, I ended up running the streets, running with the wrong crowd, got into a conflict, and it ultimately spiraled out. Huge trickle effect, affected a lot of people, a lot of family.
Right.
The person that I had the conflict with actually was a peer member of mine at East Boston High School, where I was playing basketball. Ultimately, I was arrested and convicted of 8.5 to 15 years for armed assault with intent. Just because of the lifestyle I was living. We always carried guns, and we didn't understand the impact that it had when you carry a gun.
Right.
So with that, after being convicted, sitting up in Shirley Maximum Prison and Walpole Prison, I had to change my thought.
At 18 years old?
19. I was convicted at 19.
I want to ask you about this because, you heard some of my story, and I grew up with a kid that's doing life right now. And at 18 years old, when does it sink in that, man, my life is going to be really, really different right now? When does it sink in?
I don't know if it can sink in at that time. It's too early. It's too premature. Being 18 and having almost as much time to do as you've had living on Earth is, preposterous and unfathomable, right, actually. So at 18, I was convicted, and then my mind didn't change immediately. Actually, my mind and my thought process had changed a little bit prior to me actually being convicted, but right, it just was the bad habits that caught up with me.
Right.
So It was around 21, 22,
Yeah.
01, 02, where my thought changed. I changed my lifestyle and started gaining the knowledge of self and studying vigorously and just changing my habits so I can have a different effect on the world.
That's one of the questions I wanted to ask you again, is because you know my background a little bit. I have brothers that did time, and kids I grew up with were in jail for life, and some others that I'm sure you have friends same way. And when you go inside, and I've only been inside a couple times to visit my brothers, and when I was an attorney, a couple guys, but. There's two ways you can go, I guess, right? You can either just kind of do your time, I think was one of the questions I asked, or you can try and change your life, try and change your thought process. How did that happen for you?
For me, I saw as soon as I went up, I saw a bunch of guys that were lifers, and I saw how they spent their time, and I studied and seen the OGs and the guys that I had looked up to when even living the wrong lifestyle, and I watched their habits.
Right.
And the habits of the lifers, what I noticed was they were all in the law library striving to study to get out.
Right.
The other people with idle time were playing games. They would play cards. They would play basketball. I would partake in basketball
Right.
and exercise, but it would be for a short period of time, and I would next get on to the things that were important. I felt like I was behind because all my friends on the street were going to college and were developing in their lives, and I didn't want to get behind. So I embarked on an intense and vigorous study. I'm an avid learner and avid reader, so I made sure I kept books with me. I turned the TV off. I would give my TV out to friends and actually just fold the bunk back and be studied, immersed in 4 books on my bed and papers. So that's how I chose, because I didn't want to let the time do me. So how I chose to do my time was how I wanted to pick up the habits of consistency and forming a habit of being a successful person once back to society.
Was there one particular book that you first read when you were inside or even outside that kind of started to change the way you think?
There's a few books. I definitely want to credit Sister Soldier's No Disrespect. That was a great book of mine. Black Men, Single, Obsolete, and Dangerous by Dr. Hakeem Al-Habudi. That was another book that pushed me onto the path of, just studying self and being vigorous in life and being different, So that's something I took up a whole lot of books, a lot of different authors and different pieces from them books and incorporated into my lifestyle in a sort of eccentric, eclectic style.
Now, I know again, you're a great speaker. Again, after you spoke, I was like, man, I'm glad I went before you, because you just have a great aura about you, the way you speak. It's awesome.
Appreciate it.
So, a lot of times when we both spoke at East Boston High School, when I was talking to one of the teachers there, I said, are these at-risk kids? And you hear about these, quote, at-risk kids. I was an at-risk kid. You were an at-risk kid. Is it, when you speak to these kids through the different outreaches that you have, do you talk to them about the importance of reading? Because I remember when I was a kid, I hated reading. And then even I graduated from law school, and I only read everything in law school because I had to. I didn't like it. And for me, the importance of changing my thought process really didn't happen until right around I was probably about 28 or so, which is towards the end of law school. Yes. What do you say to these kids that say, hey, look, pick up a book? Or the kids that they'd rather, they're failing in school, they could care less about it, they can barely focus on their regular, normal grades. How do you say to them, hey, pick up this book and read this book, it's going to change your life? How do you convince them to do that?
To me, it's analogous to explaining to them, for your body, nobody likes the taste of water, nobody likes the taste of peas. So these are things that are medicine for your body, and reading is medicine for you. So you have to make it at their immature minds and naive minds. You have to find a way to trick them and motivate them to why the reading is for them. And this may cause for finding books that may be a little bit more, up their lane. And it's knowing the language of the people. If they play basketball, strive to maybe push a basketball book towards them or something that they can relate to, and then we can siphon them on to other information and giving them other books and having them more, excited about reading. You don't want it to be like a project.
Right. Because again, even to this day, I mean, I obviously wrote a book and I have a second book coming up, but sometimes it's difficult when you pick up a book and you start reading. Even some of the books that I even tell people to read, the first few chapters are kind of boring in some stuff.
Yes.
But then when you get into the meat of it, right, things start to change.
You got to stick it through sometimes. You got to stick it through. You can't judge a book by its cover. So a cover means the first 20, 30 books, 30 pages also maybe. And now if it's not, you can't hold on after that. Maybe you need to sit the book down.
Right.
maybe you need to skim through it and see if there's information you could take out. Everything's not for everybody.
Right.
So every book will not be liked by everybody, and every book that's great for you will not be a book that you like. There's a couple books that I heard people rave about, and I think they're the worst book ever.
Right. Yeah.
So,
people say that about my book sometimes.
That's terrible. I don't agree.
So, we're on with Dominus Tavares. He's a great individual. We met recently, a couple months ago, actually back in December, at East Boston High School, a high school that he went to, a high school that he played basketball at, and really a high school where his life changed. At the time, might have seemed like a bad thing, and it kind of was, but you're really starting to turn things around, and that's what I love about you. But right now, in this day and age, with what's going on in the world, and I think we can look at different centuries, and we can look at different parts of our culture. But right now, what's going on in the world? What is the biggest challenge for our youth today, in a global sense?
I think in a global sense, what affects our youth is, our youth are our future. The children are the best part. So with them being the best part, we have to think about, developing them later on. And I see the biggest thing that maligns them is maybe the lack of resources and becoming clingy to the things that they want, as well as the forced media of negative images that they put into their mind, which causes sort of a lifestyle for them, which is not even real. Right. Oftentimes.
So, how do you feel about like social media right now? I mean, I know you're Dominus. I know you're on Snapchat, and I think, are you on Instagram too?
Yes.
I think, yeah. How do you feel about this? Because I get frustrated when I see these young 20-somethings or even younger than that. They're posting pictures of Bentleys and watches and Rolls Royces, and and they're looking up to these mega stars, and they're trying. They feel as though that they need to be there, or they should be there, but they don't want to do the work.
Where life imitates art.
Right.
Life imitates art to the point where they're studying TV so much and they watch fake life so much that they begin to incorporate a lifestyle of the fake life when they never work for the real life. So they think it's so easy to get on TV and get a Bentley and get a rap deal and get famous, and they don't have the steps. They don't even know the steps to attaining or achieving those goals that the others had. And
right.
What they don't see is they see the Lil Waynes, they see the other rappers and other entertainers on TV. They don't know these guys are geniuses.
Right.
These guys are brilliant. These guys read on their own. These
right.
guys eat healthy on their own. They don't do the lifestyle that they're promoting to you.
Right.
It's all about the media and for them to make the money. So one of the things that I strive to make sure that I teach the youth and push to them is, no idle time with the television. Make sure it's something that's up your alley and conducive to where you want to be and what you want to learn when you're using your time on the television, on the radio, on social media. You don't want to be, wasting your time in watching what you're scrolling through. You
right.
want to be scrolling on the things that are up your lane and that are, helping you be the best person you can be.
It's interesting what you said is that, some of these guys that we see, and I always, I look at, these pop stars. I always use Justin Bieber for some reason, but you look at all these pop stars, or even like Taylor Swift, or you look at like Kanye West and Russell Simmons. I'm a big fan of Russell Simmons. He's been around for a long time, but a lot of these guys. I heard someone once say, "My last overnight success took me 10 years," mm-hmm. and these guys they don't just pop on the scene, so to speak, right? They've been working their asses off, right?
Well, that's the things you don't see. I mean,
right.
you hear about the Cash Money records,
right?
You hear about the 2 Chainz. Wow. Excuse me. 2 Chainz is a guy that's been around and been grinding on behind the scenes as he was going by Titty Boy before for years. And
right.
all we ever do is see when that one song pops and they're successful right. because the mainstream media happened to push it or accepted that one song. They don't
right.
see the work that goes on behind it. They only see Stephen Curry's 3-point shot that wins the game. They don't see him practicing before the game or right. after the game and beating everybody to the court to drill and practice.
Right.
And the habits that he forms. This is all practice.
Right.
10,000 hours. You have to put
Outliers.
in 10,000 hours.
That's right. Yeah, it's funny, when you bring up the basketball, I know you're an avid basketball player and you were a star at East Boston High. I watched a video about Kobe Bryant and how he had missed, the classic, 10-foot jump shot that he hits a million times to lose the game. And he came back after the game and he sat there for, I think, 3 hours and took like 1,000 shots of something insane. No one sees that stuff.
No one sees
And
it.
no one wants to do it, too. That's the other thing.
It's hard work. It's hard work. Success is hard work. Everybody wants the money. They want the success that comes with it. They want the accolades, yet the work to put in is arduous. I mean, it would have been easy for me to stay on the basketball court while incarcerated on the inside. It would have been easy to stay on the field, to stay in the visitor room, to stay playing games. I knew I had to put in the work if I wanted to change anything. The only way it was going to come is to me to form a habit of being consistent with righteous acts and helping people in the things that I did.
Now, we're on with Dominus Tavares. He's a youth advocate. He's out there. He's changing people's lives. He's the co-founder of an organization called Elevate Minds. You'd mentioned, again, earlier on, we talked about, you just mentioned it as well, you'd done some serious time in Walpole, I think you said. And, you see these things on TV. Again, when we talk about TV, you see things like, Scared Straight and all these other things. And you're changing kids' lives. Now, were you a part of that where kids would come in and you'd say, hey, look, did you do that stuff? Tell me about that.
So the program, Scared Straight, is a program that actually, got outdated.
Right.
So the program that I worked with since, the impetus of my bid, since the genesis of me doing time, was Project Youth. And what Project Youth was more of a choice-based and decision expressing program, which led them to know decisions that you make are ultimately what it's all about, and not scaring them and yelling to them, because we know that doesn't work. You can spank a child and they'll still do the same thing.
Right.
Yet if you let them know the benefits that it has if you don't do it or do it, and the detriments of it, is a little bit different.
When you say choice-based, does that mean that the child or the teenager had the choice to go do this?
So they would be brought up, different schools and different programs would be brought up by their teacher or a mentor.
Yeah.
And what it was we would speak to them and give them our experiences, and it would be open back and forth at the end, open for questions, and they would gain some understanding to where we went wrong and the choices that we made, so we can help them follow on a path that was a little bit more guided and not make the same mistakes that we made. And I prided myself in doing Project Youth, which I started in about 2000.
Is that still going on today inside?
Yes, Project Youth is a huge program inside.
Yeah. What about outside? Is there something for kids?
I'm currently working on how to striving to fuse the two out here. Maybe incorporating Elevating Minds with Project Youth. So I'm currently in the works of that.
Tell us a little bit about Elevating Minds. I love the name of it, and I love what it's all about. Tell our listeners, tell our viewers what Elevate Minds is, what you're trying to do, and what you're doing right now.
So Elevated Minds is more of a cultural change, and it's a program that started out as a summer camp in Randolph High in 2013, and we had about 16, 17 students consistently, and Elevate Minds started out of the pocket. I mean, a college tour. I mean, every day they had gym, they had swimming, we had different programs, different people to come in, life skills training, computer training, different trades, cultural awareness. It was a plethora of things, and what it sparked as it moved it more into a movement, and it wasn't big enough to be held as a summer camp. So it's grown into a myriad of different programs that cater towards mentoring, righteous lifestyle, healthy eating, healthy thinking, and trades, and cultivating the skills and sublime qualities that our youth have within them that are not often being cultivated, for them to be seen and come to fruition.
Now, I know your website is under construction right now, but if there is maybe a parent or a mom or a dad or even a kid who's watching right now or listening right now that's interested in Elevating Minds, and how can they find you?
I can be found at Facebook, Dominus True and Living. That's DOMINUS NLIVING. Dominus True and Living, and I'll be putting up links that will be able to get to Elevating Minds and let them know about the construction.
Is it something that's year round, or is it just a summer thing, or how does it work?
No, Elevating Minds is year round. We're just striving to put it in a little bit more of a structure.
So it's a lot of work, right?
Yes, it's very hard work, but it's very worth it. So day in and day out, I'm working to add and refine and modify.
What's different about it? Because I was a kid who was a beneficiary of the YMCA and a lot of different YMCA programs and outreaches, and also the Boys and Girls Club. Actually, I did this. I went to this crazy thing when I was a kid. But it was a Boys and Girls Club, and they paid us to go to school during the summer. It was crazy. It was a pilot program, but it was kind of fun. What's different between Elevating Minds and some of these other programs? Or are you working together with them?
We're working in close. We work in close quarters with a lot of other networks, as well. A lot of programs that are similar but may lack, a particular thing, and it's by networking that we be able to come together. That's what it's all about. So Elevating Minds, what stands out is mainly it has the experience and the realness to be able to get to these children. There's no commercialization about it. When it started out, it was out of pocket, and it's all about the will to see them succeed. So that's in any way, shape, form, or fashion. We strive to pull in and pool the resources to cultivate those talents within them. And also to help change their lifestyle and giving them a great example constantly on that it can be done and being a success story.
Now, are you, Dominus and I first met when we were speaking at East Boston High School. Do you speak a lot? Are you going to travel all the state, all of New England, or how does that work for you?
So with my motivational speaking is what I'm striving to get into more schools, but I have programs in a few of the schools, a few of the high schools. Academy of the Pacific Rim I'm working with close quarters with the Burke High School and Diamond Educators Program. And what I'm striving to do this next coming year, I'm just striving to book a whole bunch of shows where I can go into the schools and give them the success story of me changing the energy from negative to positive and just letting them know how they need to stay on course and the direction that they need to go.
What I really like about your story, and I think a lot of people don't realize it is that, and we're obviously not afraid to talk about it. And I had a similar background. I tell people the difference between me and my friends. I just didn't get caught.
Absolutely.
But what I really like about your story is you did time. It was a very difficult. It was a horrible thing that happened. Your story is amazing. Even the gentleman that was involved in the situation, you told that story. It was a great story. But what I really love about what you're doing right now is and so many people I think don't realize this, is that you've turned it around. And now you're changing other people's lives, right? And that's the thing that I think people get caught up. You do time, whatever. You get in trouble, you do time, whatever it is, and then you get out, and all these guys, they get out and they just fall back into it, right?
Yeah. Yes.
One of my brothers told me that being in jail was like a school on how to be a better criminal. Right?
I mean, it's all about your perspective. It definitely is a school where you could become a better criminal, but if you want to become a better person and change your lifestyle, it's all about habit.
That's what I love about it.
Habit forming. Can't do the same thing that you always did and expect different results.
Give me some examples of some things that you do on a day-to-day basis, or what you even did inside to change your mind. Because again, these kids, and I'm sure you see them a lot more than I do. It's tough to get through to them. Give me some basic things that an average everyday kid who's growing up and like me and you did, waking up in the morning, there's no food in the fridge, and and your mom's working, and your dad's not around, and there's drugs and crime. It's tough to see the good things in there, but what did you do to say, you know what, I can get better, I can change? What did you do?
What I did was look at everybody that was around me and seen the habits of the people that I didn't felt like reached the bar. So I would see people, their eating habits. I see somebody that ate so much and watch the foods that they ate, which made me make my eating habits a little healthier. The other things that they did, the idle talk and wasting brain capacitation, so to speak. I'm very strict with who I let into my circle, as well as physical foods or mental foods. So that was one of the first things that I did. And that was the discipline that helped me to be cool with my solitude, which allowed me to dig in and be able to teach myself and retrain my thinking with greats, as opposed to the environment that was around me and influencing me negatively. So to speak, you say I changed my environment. It came from being a product of my environment, and now my environment's a product of me.
That's the interesting thing that I did when I was younger as well. And I think people have a tough time with this, is that you have to make the decision that you want to change, right? That's the first thing. And then the other thing that you said is you changed your environment, and you're very cautious of who you let in, because those are the people that really can change you for better or worse, right?
Absolutely. One person can take you down. One person can help you lift up to, dreams where you've never thought that you could reach.
What about mentors? You must have had a mentor when
I've had numerous mentors.
Yeah.
Some that didn't even understand that they were mentors at the time.
Right.
I've always been a young individual, even when I was partaking in a negative lifestyle. I've always been an individual who soaked up knowledge. So I would sit down with the OGs and just listen.
Right.
Not talking, not running my mouth, just sit down and ask a question and see how far they went with it and soak up all the information. And I think that's another thing that lacks in this day and era. These youth, they don't connect. There's no bridge. We need to bridge the gap to the older heads, to the OGs and the young Gs. The young Gs don't have no respect for the OGs, so now they're doing it all their way, and they have no experience and they have no wisdom and guidance being given to them. My mother, seeing that my dad wasn't there, she placed us in numerous programs. One I love to speak about was the Paul Robeson Institute, which was located on Northeastern's campus.
What's that?
40 Leon Street. And it was a positive development program.
Oh, okay.
And it was a program that had a whole bunch of successful men, from doctors to mathematicians to counselors to you name it, policemen, lawyers. And there were all men on Saturday morning who were there at 9 a.m. to teach us and to guide us and to help us and show us that we could make it, regardless what the circumstances were currently that we were living in at that young age.
That's interesting. So it sounds like, again, our mothers are very, very similar. My mom got me into the YMCA and all these other camps and things like that. It sounds like really the big influences in your life, like a lot of good people, is your mom, huh?
Yes. My mom's the world. I mean, she showed me that anything's possible. I get all my warriorism from my mother. I never even understood that we were struggling during the years of struggling and coming up, because my mother was so good at just going hard and not complaining.
Right.
So, I guess I picked it up. The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree.
I look at my mom, and you must look at your mom too, and I look at what she made back then and the way we grew up, and I don't know how we lived. I don't know how we did anything.
I definitely don't understand how my mom could make it. My mom's the best person with $1 that I know on earth.
Right.
She would have $5 and the whole family would be eating, and there's people that could come get food. I don't understand how it's possible.
Figure it out. Now you and I both have you have a daughter, right? And I have a daughter. Tell me about your daughter. She's she's a basketball star, right?
So I have two daughters.
Oh, you have two? Okay, all right.
I have a 16-year-old. She plays basketball for Academy of Pacific Rim, named Amaya, and I have an 8-year-old daughter named Zion Justice. I also have a 6-year-old son named Messiah Kwali.
Yeah.
They're all developing. They all catch this daddy beating them upside the head every day with this strictness so they could be great.
So for me, is that the most fun that you're having right now, being a dad?
Dad's the best thing on earth that you could ever be.
Right.
It's the hardest job, but it's definitely the most profitable.
Tell us about that part too, because you always hear about it's easy to make a baby, but it's the most difficult thing is to be a dad, and you just said that, and there are kids having kids every day right now, right? And when it happens, if you want to have a better life and you want to have a better life for your kids, it's a lot of work.
It's an arduous task.
Right.
I find myself every day wrestling. It's like you're wrestling with yourself.
Right.
You're wrestling with yourself because our children are born with so much of the experience that we have that oftentimes we don't even understand how to teach them, and something pops up and you're baffled by something that they said, and you would think that you would be prepared for it. So oftentimes the children of nowadays are so special that you just have to be so high level to be able to help them. Mine's challenge me every day, but it's the best thing in the world to be able to guide them and see the fruits of that I put in daily eventually coming out. They don't come out right away, but oftentimes, a few months you'll see them feed something back that you gave them. You need to understand that they retained it, and it's the best feeling in the world.
Do you play hoops a lot with your 16-year-old?
Yeah, I play. I don't get to do it as much now,
Right.
but I strive to make the time. The babies are on it now.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think she can play with you or what?
I crush her. We go to the gym. I don't take it light. I act like I'm playing Steph Curry with her. I don't. I don't take it light. I have very high standards for her. She also plays volleyball. That's actually her first sport. She plays varsity for both of them.
Yeah.
She loves volleyball, but Dad being a basketball player, she naturally.
Now, what are her plans right now for the future?
She has a plan on creating a fashion school, like a fashion education program school / acting for disenfranchised youth as well.
Yeah.
She wants to develop. She does many community developing programs.
Is she looking to college now or?
Yeah, she's currently at that stage right now.
Yeah,
She's looking to go to China for some, overseas studies.
Wow.
Yeah,
she's only 16 right now?
Yeah, she's 16. Highest honors in her school. Her and one of Actually, Mayor Menino. Mayor Menino's granddaughter, I think her name's Samantha Menino, and my daughter, two of the highest honors at their schools.
Really?
That's something I'm proud of.
That's got to be rewarding.
Monumental.
So. The other thing too, we talked a little bit about it as well. As far as the kids, if you could give kids today, right now, just some quick, basic advice on what they should do to change their life, what would it be?
Be different.
Okay.
Look at everybody else that is going nowhere fast and study their habits and make sure you do something different. If you're always standing out and you always make sure that your eating habits are different, your study habits are different, your discipline's different, you're guaranteed success.
What when you say be different, can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Because being different could be, you could be, you could just go way off on one side or way off on the other. And I agree with you where, like, I hate being someone who's just like a sheep. You're staying on the same pack, so to speak. What do you mean by be different? Being different means moving a different direction from the crowd. The crowd often follows what's easy, what everybody's doing, what's popular. Us both being, music heads, I would liken it to, you want to make a classic album as opposed to what the trend or the hot song is right now, because there's people who had hot songs we know and we can't remember their name. Right. You may remember the song. But then there's the people who make a classic album and everybody knows that it just touches everybody and it stands the test of time. That's from them being different and being brave enough to born out their own creativity. So I would say being different would mean challenge yourself to always take the higher road and not take and go the path that's, so easy. I love it. It's interesting. Again, the thing that you said is challenge yourself. We talked earlier about doing the work, and I'm a soccer coach where it's tough to say for these 10-year-olds, and what I noticed is they all love to play in the game. But even though they're only 10 years old, they're getting to a point where where the competition's starting to change. They all want to play in the game, but a lot of them don't want to do the work. And so when you mentioned challenge yourself, you got to work at it, no matter what you want, right?
Yeah. Your body only grows with shock, spontaneity. Right. So if you stay in the same lane and do what you want to do and stay always in your comfort zone, it takes you stepping out your comfort zone, and that's what challenge yourself is. And if you can do 10 push-ups today, in 2 days, your muscles should have grown a little bit, and you should be able to do 13 push-ups, in a few days at least. Always stepping it up, not staying at that 10 push-ups, and I always do 10. If you're growing, then it should be stepping up. You should be raising the bar for yourself as well.
Right. So. I absolutely love that. I don't know that you and I talked about this, but I have a book coming out called 5% More, and it's basically kind of what you said. Is it's just when you're running, or I said you pick a goal. It's usually a telephone pole as you're running. If you're on the streets, go to the next telephone pole. Go to the next telephone pole. When you mentioned push-ups, I just started swimming. I obviously don't have a swimmer's body, but I just started swimming in a small pool, and I got to 10 laps, and then 13, and then 15, and then I think a couple days ago I just did 20. So gradual. Yeah, it's gradual, and that's the other thing. We're back to our youth is that our youth, they want this instant gratification, but we talked about the work. It isn't instant. It takes time. Yeah. But you'll get there, right?
Absolutely. With hard work and you stick to it, perseverance, it always pays off.
Right.
It always pays off.
Yeah, that's the thing, folks. Again, we're on with Dominus Tavares. He is just an amazing individual. He's a youth advocate. He's out there. He's changing people's lives. He's changing the lives again of our youth, which really ultimately is our future. Dominus, do you have any last thoughts for our viewers and listeners that you'd want to share that can really, help inspire our youth today?
Really, what I would just want to tell them is don't think where you are today is where you will always be. Energy can't be destroyed. It can only be recycled. So if you have negative energy, it can always be transferred to positive energy. My story, as we know, is one of the worst, coming up the hardest and maybe the most hopeless, yet I was the most hopeful because I know what I put in, I was going to get out. So just stick to it. Make sure that your habits are those that you're forming are conducive to where you're striving to be. Dream, set attainable goals, make sure it's realistic, and strive to reach them day in and day out. It has to be your habits. Your hobbies has to be what you want to do. Consistency. If you want to be a basketball player, you have to be in the gym. You can't be playing NBA 2K. You have to be in the gym putting in the hours. You have to be dribbling. You have to be challenging yourself to step it up. So consistency with you being different and challenging yourself is how you will step it up and see the growth.
I love it. Again, my name is Michael Alden. This has been another edition of the Alden Report. But before we let you go, Dominus, how can people find you again? Because I want to make sure that people can find you.
They can definitely find me at Dominus True and Living at Facebook. We can also be liked. I have a talent agency called A to Z Talent, where we cultivate the talents of the youth as in the entertainment field, and I'm always on deck for that.
What about your email address? What's your email address?
My email, I can be emailed at Vietdom at Gmail, Vietdom at Gmail.
Wonderful. Again, my name is Michael Alden. This has been another edition of the Alden Report. Again, folks, it's been really kind of a special edition for me because, our youth, again, really is what is going to change our future, for the better or for the worse. And this gentleman, Dominus Tavares, is changing our youth for the better. And I really love what you're doing. I want you to continue to do it. I know you're going to, and I know that you and I are probably going to do great things together. Again, my name is Michael Alden. This has been the Alden Report, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Appreciate you for having me.
Dude, awesome. That was awesome. Do you have anything else you wanted to say? No. We're good? Perfect.
Peace.
Peace. I love it.
Today's episode is brought to you by Wicked Escapes. Based in Boston, Wicked Escapes is renowned for producing some of the most immersive, interactive adventure attractions in the world. Their Saugus, Mass location showcases the best puzzle and escape room adventures in New England and is located just 10 minutes north of Boston, conveniently on Route 1 in the Roller World Plaza. Book today and find out what all the excitement's about. Enjoy their spacious location, experience the thrill of solving their mind-bending challenges, maybe even set a new Wicked Escapes time record. Sign up at wickedescapes.net. That's www.wickedescapes.net.